one series just set a whole lot in motion here at HGC. We started out today and we only knew the top and the bottom. Those were set. Now it's down to 2 teams.
All off of one series. We have every single thing locked in except for Superstars and B-Step. Those two, depending on their results still remaining in week number 5, have the opportunity to actually swap. But, as I said, at the beginning of the series, at the beginning of the program, it all comes down to the results individually. If they're able to get the win here for Superstars, and then if B-Step in fact loses tomorrow.
Right, you are. It looks like it should be Superstars able to finally overtake B-Step, where they have been behind since, honestly,
like week 2?
Yeah, whenever B-Step and Superstars went up against each other, and Superstars lost in the closest series of Part 1 probably, came down to one core that was at 2% that B-Step saved. Superstars had to play with a sub that game, and they finally got vengeance over B-Step, but it wasn't enough to take the 4th place spot. Now, they play Team Naventic, and tomorrow, B-Step has to face Tempo Storm. This finally is Superstars' moment.
This is exactly what we were talking about. If everyone wins, if you beat all the teams below you and you lose to the teams above you, this is the projected change. Superstars finally being able to overtake B-Step.
We should note, too, that the more dominant of a performance that they can have, the better. If they could win over Naventic 3-0 even, then in the rare event that B-Step beats Tempo Storm, it's probably not going to be a 3-0. It's Tempo Storm. So in that case, Superstars can just make sure to guarantee that they still get that spot just by making sure that this is a 3-0 over Naventic. A little bit more pressure on them, but a win overall is the first thing that they have to make sure they achieve.
Yeah, step number 1, getting the win here for Superstars. And I believe, you know, they have the tools to be able to make it happen. Naventic, obviously a struggling team in the North American scene, knowing that they're going to be going to the Crucible, but they have shown signs of life for the past 2 weeks. Oddly enough, since they got confirmed to go to the Crucible, it feels like they have made steps in a positive direction to where it put up a bigger fight than maybe the numbers show in terms of standings.
Yeah, and maybe that was just simply making sure that they did put on a good face to the open division teams who are coming through the Crucible.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, they are not going to go down easily versus Superstars. Let's hear from Superstars and Naventic, Goku and Zuna about this match.
In our matchup against Naventic, even though the game itself weren't clean, I feel like our team has gone stronger while Naventic has gone weaker, and that these games will be easy. It means a lot to our team to be in the higher standing. That way we can observe B-Step and Team Freedom face against each other. That way we can get ready and prepare drafts. And it also means a lot that it's one less matchup that both Gale Force and Teammate won't be able to see all of our drafts.
We're approaching the match against Superstars differently because we lost last time, but right now more than anything it's more like treating it as a scrim because we're already going to Crucible. So if we win it's nice, but we're more taking it as a learning curve than anything else. I feel like Superstars is a strong team, but they are pretty random. And sometimes certain players on their team will just go full insane. You can never really expect what you're like when you go against Superstars, whether if they're the team that's just going to throw curveballs or they're just going to play your standard.
Superstars has long been known for what Zuna was talking about. A team that you never know what they're going to draft, who shows up, what they can do. Last week it was Cassia and Faye. She is undefeated on Cassia. But Superstars also has never really been known for being a particularly dominant team, and that has continued to plague this team as they want to show that they are a true playoffs contender.
Yeah, they don't seem to have that cutthroat mentality that you may hope to see out of a competitor, a competing team here, even against Naventic, who sits at the very bottom of the standings of North America. In this series, I don't expect Superstars, even if they win, to come out as demanding. As you said, the only team in North America that truly feels like they have a reasonable grasp on how to force an advantage whenever they get it is Tempo Storm. And a large reason why Tempo Storm sits at the top of our standings, you know, even look at the last series. That was our 2nd seed team, Gale Force Esports, and still, you know, falling behind to Team Freedom in a majority of the games. Yes, they get the win, and it looks good at the end of the day, but how much of that comes down to their raw skill, their forcing of these issues, and that is a huge thing for Superstars here.
Yeah, that was a great example of a time where the score of the match does not accurately depict how the match went down. Here's the battlegrounds again for our next series. Braxis Holdout and Sky Temple banned out from the two teams. The first pick from Team Naventic. Not sure you're surprised here, Dread. I don't know. Are you surprised it's Battlefield of Eternity picked by Naventic?
No, not surprised at all. Almost every single time Naventic goes, really just map priority in general is Battlefield of Eternity, but almost every time they're even on that map, it is in fact because they were the team choosing it. It is their favorite. Mixed results, but it is their favorite, and historically been one that, you know, this group of players, the core members of it, have been known to dominate on the map. They just haven't really found it with Naventic. That being said, Naventic hasn't really found much. No map, really. You know, in general, they seem to be just an eternal struggle here for them.
What a good way to describe
the eternal struggle.
Considering we are going to Battlefield of Eternity, this is the most comfortable place that Team Naventic will be this entire series. Maybe Infernal Shrines, but Shrines even has not been as long of a comfort and favorite of Naventic as Battlefield of Eternity has. It is important for Naventic if they want a chance of taking out Superstars that they do well here. Probably, honestly, that they get the win here.
Yeah, I think that would be a nice tone setter for them in this series if they somehow can actually get that upset over Superstars. And it's going to start with Battlefield of Eternity, again, just because of the comfort. Much like we talked about in the last series, losing to Gale Force on Tomb means more than losing to Gale Force on Braxis. You know, and we have teams, they have their maps, and if you can somehow beat them on home turf, it means a lot.
Another thing to talk about as we start this draft for the two teams is that Team Naventic will be playing with a sub today. B-Kid is out due to a family emergency, so Kier will be taking his place. This is the second time that Kier has been filling in for a team. He subbed for Team 8 when Prismaticism was having computer trouble. So Kier is a seasoned HGC sub. We know that he'll be doing extremely well. Even though it is a warrior role, it's one that he initially played the first time we saw UTA do a dominant performance at Heroes of the Dorm, and that was in 2016.
So a role that Kier is going to be comfortable on, but a sub still at that here for this group of players, something that may benefit them and may hurt them. We are through the first couple of picks of this draft. The Anu Barak, still what Superstars shown already on Battlefield of Eternity in 2.0 on the Genji patch. They later followed that up with an Uther and Cassia. We'll see if they still do the same here.
I think the Uther definitely, given that they've banned Malfurion already. Yeah,
I agree with you. I do expect that also with Naventic having a Genji, it makes it that much more appealing. We saw, you know, we talked about how Genji becomes a way better hero with the Uther. We saw in the last series, you know, it was Genji was like lackluster, then suddenly, oh, he has a Divine Shield. He is a huge threat onto those backlines. So it's going to be an Uther and a Cassia still coming out from Superstars. They are going to stick to what they know so far in this draft.
Again, Faye is undefeated with Cassia. They've played both Valkyrie and Ball Lightning so far, so changing up slightly the playstyles that they like with her. We saw Valkyrie with the last Cassia too, and it did well versus Gale Force in that they were able to make things like Crystal Aegis come out early in the fight so then that they could go in and get kills from that afterwards. So we'll see what Faye wants to do with her Cassie in this game.
Gray main ban here for Naventic. That shows that they have no interest on picking an overly melee dive composition for themselves. Superstars, knowing that Genji is picked up for Naventic, they have their warrior already, and they've already focused the supports. They can further that by banning out one, or look towards the backline. Is there any backline that they really do not want to see on BOE? There's still Li Ming within a new Barak. Unlikely that they're going to be afraid of that. Vala is one, but it's fallen off dramatically in terms of priority in North America.
Vala's win rate in Part 2 was so funny because in Part 1, she started at 60%, and as the weeks went on, ended right around the 40 range. So people adapting. So you would think that at the beginning of part 2 then, she would maintain that. Nope, right back up to 60, and then throughout the weeks, fell back down to 40. It's the same exact thing. So strange.
That is actually a really unique phenomenon to see that happen. The Tychus ban is the choice now for Superstars. So what does Naventic get here with this Genji? They're going to pick up a Chromie. Interesting choice. First thought, gotta be a temporal loop option into what I was gonna say an X-Strike coming out from Genji, that single target burst. But now knowing the Uther exists on the other side, it's unappealing. Not typically where Chromie wants to move, maybe more into that slowing sands. Either way, it's a Chromie into an Anubarak, not an optimal warrior to face.
Chromie does allow Naventic to slow things down. We've seen her poke be excellent on Battlefield of Eternity because of Bronze Talons. Also, though, Bronze Talons, again, we're seeing this versus Cassia, and this does not change into spell damage.
Yeah.
It is still physical damage. So Cassia, as long as she's moving, does soak up a lot of the damage from the Bronze Talons auto attack, but she can still try to use that to do damage consistently to the Immortals along with Lunara. Do we still see another blind to add to Cassia? There are things like Artanis, possibly. We are on Battlefield of Eternity. Last time they picked Lili too. These are all possibilities. I don't know if Lili, they're feeling that as much this time.
You know, it's Superstars. Even Naventic put a bit of respect towards the Superstars flavor that we can see in some of the drafts. I don't love the idea of moving into a Lili or even another blinder, Johanna being one that comes to mind. Ariel would be the double support. I would like to see Superstars avoid over-synergistic attempts out of the Cassia in this draft. I think the biggest thing for them is going to be making sure they pick survivable heroes into the Genji. They've already got a lot of those. It's just whoever their backliners are going to be, make sure that they can be self-sustaining, not as vulnerable, usually higher in the same way you would, again, like in Illidan. They're going to Artanis, so a secondary blind, like you said, but a Medivh. This is a 4-man melee composition plus a Medivh coming out from Superstars.
Lucio again for Kenma. Rounds out their draft. So blind synergy, Medivh to help Uther with the sustaining, especially because Uther is cooldown dependent, and if his cooldowns are down and the poke comes in from Chromie, that's a possibility of Genji rushing in for a kill. Is Medivh enough to try to make sure that he's covering Uther's issues between that, especially with the Lunara now on the board? There's a lot of damage from Naventic.
I think post 10, Superstars does have enough tools to be able to deal with things. It's going to be the 1 through 9 that is a lot of the fear for me, just based on the fact that Chromie is going to poke everything, Lunara is going to slow them down if they start in a team fight, spread everybody's damage evenly, and then Genji comes in. That is where, again, like Illidan's, it's so easy to compare to him because they have a lot of the same characteristics. They're melee, they have mobility, low damage, want to get kills, want to dive the backline. So there is a Divine Storm option on the other side. They have double peels. They can react really well to Naventic's initiation. The biggest thing is that Chromie is going to force Superstars to have to be the initiators, which then you have to look post 10 because you have the option for the Divine Storm again, but more importantly, just the portal dive compositions. Lock somebody down, get the burst, and win the team fight. But it's just, if Naventic didn't have that Chromie, suddenly Superstars could wait for them to initiate and counter-initiate so well with the double blind and a potential Divine Storm into a Genji, just one-shot them all. But now that the Chromie is picked up, it is going to force the issue on the side of Superstars. They have to answer somewhere by, not letting Chromie poke them down, and then Genji come in and do work.
I'm very excited to see a Zuna Genji. That sounds like a boatload of fun. I'm very pumped for that, but at the same time, there are possible swaps from Goku. Goku lands those swaps. If there are people out of position, then he can swap them into the stuns of the Immortal. And then there's only so much Lucio can do, especially until he gets into the late game and has more of his healing possibilities. But there's only one sound barrier, and there are a lot of scary people who have low health bars between Chromie, Lunara, and Genji.
Yeah, it's Superstars and Naventic's drafts here. I think both have a very unique way to try and approach Battlefield of Eternity. I do think that as long as this game goes evenly, I like Superstars in the long run. but I can really see this game, again, snowballing pretty heavily for Naventic with one major mistake in the early part of the game on the side of Superstars.
Well, we have our drafts ready and our players ready too. Let's get into game number 1 on the battlefield of eternity.
So to kick it off here in the blue,
What?
we're going to have Kenma on the Chromie. Cure is going to be on the Warrior. Zuna is going to be on the Genji. Big Impact is our Lucio, and Tomster is Lunara.
To be continued on that conversation right after we introduce our team in red. Superstars with the support player playing the support. Ayakuna playing Uther. We've got Srey playing Anubarak. Faye playing her Cassia. Playing Artanis is Goku. You heard from him in the interview. And finally, Hosty playing his Medivh.
And so for those of you at home that are kind of wondering why I seem so confused,
Same.
that is because Kenma is on the Chromie. And though we do have a lot of role swaps, and it's not uncommon to see role swaps here and there, for instance, Zuna has kind of flexed on Naventic's drafts so far. Kenma has been a support-only player, period, for about a year and a half now, I would say. This wasn't like oh, I just supported to fill a team. He has been a support main. I don't think I've ever seen him play anything other than that. So we're going to find out how it works on the Chromie here for him. But that is just so weird. That in week 5 of HGC, this is when we see the... I figured we would see a role swap from Naventic. I just didn't think it would be this late, and it wouldn't have been Ken.
Yeah, when you see these kinds of role swaps, I could maybe count on one hand. I might not even need... I can't think of any supports except Tiger JK and Talking Trees 1 week in part 1 swapped roles. It is so uncommon to see the support swap. That's why you had things like part 1 Gale Force Esports. What was their motto? 4 flex and a support.
Yeah.
It does not happen very often. So this is their plan. This is, whether it was, I don't think it has anything to do with having Cure as their sub, so it must be something that they're attempting to do, trying to make the necessary adjustments to make sure that they do not lose their spot here in the HGC come the Crucible in 2 weeks.
The one major thing I would like to note, it pulls a little bit from the gravity of the situation, but I think because you reference how it never happens with support minus insert freak situation here, and that is true, but I will say this is more of a opinion piece, but that a lot of that, ooh, first good stun coming out, nice force of will. Dash out from Goku, he's going to be fine for now. Members of Naventic aggressing though, Superstars falling pretty low.
Yeah, Goku is trying to make it to the portal force of will there, and he does. Superstars keep Goku alive.
That was such a beautiful boop from Big Impact too on that Lucio there, but it was just not enough to gain the distance. Damage onto the Immortal is going to happen for Naventic, but what I was referring to is just if you take an overarching step back, why do supports never flex? My personal opinion is because we just don't have enough supports in North America. We already have maybe a limited amount to be top-tier contenders, and so that is why we have so few flex, because it's not a role you can just kind of put anybody into.
Swap, there goes down. It hits Big E, the rest of the team following suit. Faye trying to get the kill, Goku gets it, first blood. Nice
portal set up there for Goku to be able to get that dash in. Ooh, Hosty takes a lot of damage, Cure over the wall. One auto from Tomster, that's another kill. Zuna goes in. Gets a bit of damage as what is a bloodbath. Beautiful swap, the Uther stun afterwards. But passive immobility is going to let him out. Fend coming out from Faye. And now that is going to be another kill going over to the Superstars. 3-1 so far in this game.
Goku is hoping to start the swap, but supporting has to go back, so there's no force of will and there's no heals from Uther. And Tomster can shred people in that time. Goku tried to see if he could get a swap, but cautious play from Tomster will be the end of that. Cure and friends from Naventic just trying to slow down this swap as much as they can, but both Immortals neck and neck in this first phase.
Very close when it comes to that HP. Looks like Naventic wants to be aggressive as they see this. As we always know, the Immortal spawning here after the first one, the second half of the first Immortal, excuse me. Faye takes a lot of damage from the Chromie poke over the wall there. No Genji in place to be able to execute, but that's enough to scare at least Faye back to base.
Speaking of Genji, Zuna is showing off the third talent, so now we've seen all three here at NA HGC at level 1 getting Agile Dismount, 70% increased range on his Cyber Agility when used from mounted and a lower cooldown, so just more mobility in a different way. They're all mobile talents at level 1. Goku trying to do damage. Zuna is swapped around from the rest of the team, but has his Cyber Agility to leap over the wall.
He goes in and gets a bit of damage, but Naventic has been able to zone off. Nice shield. Oh, that damage. Iacona, does he have another heal?
She barely seems like she has
he
enough.
misclicked. Oh, he misclicked the shield, but luckily the Frisbee's there. Oh, man, that
Swap.
beautiful swap. Are they going to get the knock-up, the follow-up stun? They stack the CCs, but I don't think it matters. Kenma goes down thanks to a huge swap coming up from Goku and 108 6 HP on that Immortal Shield, and Naventic picking up the first Immortal of this game.
So the Chromie death was not in vain, but there have been 2 so far in this game. Naventic gets the first Immortal, but it is low in shielding. Shouldn't be too much for Superstars to clean up. And there's nothing like Sylvanas or Arthas with the Syndragosa to escalate the situation.
Looks like this Immortal's going to be reasonably easy to clean up here, considering it had no shielding. Only going to net maybe a turret or 2 for Naventic. Chromie here for the Pope. Might be able to help lower the HP bars of Superstars enough to get this fort damage. So it looks like they back out. One thing we have to consider, we've already seen a bit of it in this game. What is the Medivh versus Genji interaction beyond just the denying of a reset? Because I think we've seen, in theory, a bit of that interaction when looking at Li Ming, right? So it's more of the mobility aspect of these two.
Around portals.
Yeah, so Genji dashes in, and then suddenly everybody can portal the same distance of which Genji dashed. So you can essentially replace him into a very isolated moment. We saw Genji try to initiate a kill onto Hosty, and he very easily was able to portal out and just be like, okay, even though he's sitting at 1 HP. And if we see a lot of that, that limits Genji's effectiveness drastically, because even though, yes, 1 kill might be possible, and if you even got the reset, is everybody else went through that portal, you're then that much more unlikely to get a secondary kill. Granted, if you got 1 kill, you're probably already winning the fight, but it's still a countermeasure if you're even in trades.
Yeah, and we've already talked about how Hosty is there to help supplement Uther too, because Uther sometimes struggles with Lunara, albeit less so than we have seen in the previous iteration of Uther. He does a far better job with the armor he can give. But even still, Hosty will be able to give a force of will in the time that maybe Uther's cooldowns are down. But Uther went for Wave of Light again, so he does have the cooldown reduction from that too for his skill shot heal. Level 7's here. Master's Touch now becomes a factor for Superstars, and maybe something that Team Naventic can punish. And Dodge was picked up from Genji, so a little bit of a change at level 7, but with so many auto-attack heroes between Cassia and Artanis, it seems like a necessary pick almost to try to give Genji some sustainability.
Genji does have a lot of flexible 7s. It's one, the only talent tier on him where I think almost everything is viable. I might be missing one, but at least like 3 out of the 4 options, a large portion of them are going to be situational.
Yeah, he'll miss out on perfect defense, so being able to have deflect up more often, which has been the norm so far for a lot of people, but even as a spell shield possible at that level. So a lot of ways of making sure he can keep himself alive depending on your opponent's composition.
The Immortal has been started for Naventic. They've managed to get a lot of damage out there, but Superstars winning experience. There's the portal stun onto Kenmo. It was only 1, and he is going to be able to squirm himself away thanks to the lack of coordination on the side of Superstars. No kill just yet. No heroics either. Good split amount of damage from Naventic as well when looking at those Immortals. So we find ourselves sitting at a near identical, or at least even game once again here on Battlefield of Eternity on the second Immortal phase.
Swap hits Kenma. Iacona there once again for the follow-up, but Faye wasn't quite in position, is now, and with that wall and portal, there's no way Kenma gets away from that. But man, the swaps have always put someone
That's what I was
in
gonna say.
position for Kona.
What I was going to say was just that
Glorious.
even though, yes, we do see Kenma role swapping, and yes, it's maybe stats-wise not looking too great, and the fact that we already see him dying, what are we at? 3 deaths, 3 out of the 4 deaths. But a lot of that, this isn't, you know, the nice meme of lol, Kenma role swapping and he ends up dying. This is just flat out Goku making legendary plays.
Yeah, the setup, Divine Storm
Along
at
with
the
Leyline.
same time as Leyline, so that's a bit of a missed opportunity for Superstars. Swap again,
Oh
hits
my
big in.
gosh, this guy is on fire!
Good grief!
Why? How do you do this? Why are you the way you are and hit every swap?
And perfectly to Kona!
I know! It's just, he gets the ollie and Kona's got the oop. Honestly, it's like upsetting how good he is at this.
Goku making plays along with Uther. We've talked a lot about the synergy between Goku and Srey too, so it's awesome to see that synergy now with Iacona. Superstars again leveling up more and more. These heroic abilities are here. We have Valkyrie instead of Ball Lightning.
Valkyrie instead of the Ball Lightning. Gonna see how that works out for them in fights. That is really interesting. I can see the Valkyrie into, looking at the cocoon.
Well, after a swap stun, if they start to run away, you just pull them back in again.
I mean, that's true. Genji?
Valkyrie.
They get the pick. That was all they needed. I didn't think for a moment they would have that, but Zuna goes in, calculated, gets a pick, one man down, Portal in what I will say is probably the most synergistic portal taking I've ever seen. Superstars, 4-man's right out. Genji, no reset, Divine Storm!
Genji is out of here.
He is just gonzo. They are not done though. They dwarf toss in, looking to force it a bit more. The Immortal having a large amount of HP. No shielding left though, so he is going to be up in that melee range. 14 seconds left till Zuna's going to be able to join Naventic here. Can they get the bottom keep?
Srey goes out for some stuns, slowing down the damage, allowing the team to get the rest of the damage here. It looks like nothing more than a couple of keep towers, but even still getting Naventic further ahead in experience. Slowing Sands, so frustrating to deal with. There is the setup portal. Goku comes in.
I just believe it's going to hit. Like at this point, I would expect every swap to hit, and it's more of like a freak occurrence if it doesn't. Goku there on that Artanis, a rising melee assassin player in the North American scene, one that you've probably heard us talk up time and time again. He really has just only gone up in terms of play, And as they would say, maybe a no-ceiling situation. This guy, untapped potential.
It's incredible knowing where Goku was at in 2016, too. The different teams that he played on. It took a while before he finally found his home here with Superstars. Same with Hosty.
They know they're on this camp. They don't have 13 talents here, but not everybody is there for Naventic either. Zuna goes over the wall. Cure heals on out and pulls away. You could see their idea was to delay. They found the Zuna. The swap there. He's got the E. Oh my! I don't know if that was the auto attack or a predicted Q coming out from Faye, but either way, that was insane. Well, that was a Q, right? I don't know.
No, because there wasn't the split, right? So it had to be the auto attack. Cocoon. Ken was out of here. There's a swap.
This kid, it's gross.
Valkyrie! Goodbye, Tomster, my friend. At least Biggie gets out.
I mean, seriously, though.
He's playing out of his mind, but the team is just on today. Like, they are in concert. They're looking good.
They are. That is one huge thing, is it's not just Goku getting legendary swaps. It's everybody's there to capitalize on them, right? I mean, they're making it look that much deadlier, but I'm seriously beginning to wonder if, like, Goku's got an aimbot or something going on, because he is just the Q into the E every single time this game.
Lunara may have a talent called Unfair Advantage, but I'd give the advantage to Superstars with Goku.
Yeah, it turns out, when you have the Super Saiyan on your team can really become next level there. Portal on out, Shaman Camp pressuring up on top. The Immortals are now the focus here for these teams. Oh, gonna be a small Shaman Camp stop.
The one thing going for Naventic is they have yet to lose an Immortal. So far, Superstars have been winning a lot of these team fights, but can't do it in a way that they're able to get the Immortal after the fact. It's always they get the team fights after an Immortal push. So we'll see if Superstars can change that. Divine Storm, Goku in, Srey's there too. Valkyrie tries to pull someone back to Faye.
But there's going to be a Cocoon and a Leyline unlocking soon. First member down is going to be Lucio there. Big impact, not keeping himself up. Iacona and friends barely surviving here, but that is going to be a very split spray as he goes on to Kenma. Can he get the pick? He, in fact, cannot. And now 1 for 1 Stray, oh gosh, Zuna is going to clean up there. He misses his first reset, and they stop him! They get it before he can even get one! The blind, and oh, they even get another pick there. What is happening? Superstars outplaying Naventic.
All of you Medivh fans at home, don't worry. Masters Touch stacks were done and over with before he got taken out, so he will still have that. Superstars! Hoping to...
I just see every Medivh main at home just with anxiety, like, but what about Masters Touch?
My best friend's a Medivh main,
yeah.
So I feel like I have a solemn duty to make sure and let people know that, so no one's sad.
I can understand. I'd be thinking the same thing. I'd be like, where's that touch at, you know? But he's fine. He's got it completed. He's hit the members. He's got a half-level lead on top of Agili.
This could be the first Superstars. Nice blade dash out of there. First Superstars Immortal. But Naventic is not going to give that away for free. But Superstars just have to get 16.
I'm predicting the future. Goku's going to hit a swap. Uther's going to hit a Divine Storm stun. They're going to get a pick, and it's going to lead to an Immortal. It's just how Goku does at this point.
How is it that you come up with that? We'll have to see. The Lunara damage is severe. It's pushed Faye back, and now the team is separated. Goku has a portal to go through if he wants, and he will choose to take that swapping out so that nobody's in his way. Stormbolt hits. Ooh. Goku will drop.
He does end up dropping there, and with Iacona healing up some members, they were able to retreat. Superstars has 4,000 damage left to get done onto that Immortal. 3.6 now. Good chain CC. Portal and a nice Force of Will let him out there. Lunara is done.
The hard thing is, this is not the biggest poke comp. Posty, Force of Will, Chromie damage. It dodges Chromie damage and Zuna, but not for long. Zuna gets another kill, and now the staggered deaths begin.
Yeah, 20 seconds there. Difference between Artanis and Medivh as Naventic now look to restore balance onto the Immortals and get it once more for themselves. This is going to be it. 2.8K left on those shields.
Yeah, poor Superstars just don't really have the poke when it comes to those situations. They don't have a Leeming or anything like that, but they can team fight. We know that for sure, and they're trying to do it.
He has Cocoon, but he wasn't willing to use it. And they're going to walk away. They just threaten as the almighty Immortal. Is it? He's like ascending almost at that point.
Powering up.
He's just taking in all of our energy. And now he's going to be bashing towards this fort. It's a minimum of a fort, probably keep while on top of it. A couple of picks could lead to a keep. Naventic here in a fine position.
It's already halfway down. A lot of Superstars is way separated, but kind of so are Naventic. This fight is happening on so many fronts. Leyline Seal dropped. It looks like Tomster might be the one who's in trouble.
They get a lot of damage onto Kenma. He's not dying yet. Sray ends up getting the pick, the shield, keeping Hosea alive for a bit, but now that is going to be a 1-for-1. Valkyrie comes in. The Divine Storm just finishes the fight. Iacona, 1R button, and he says, this fight, you see it?
Swap.
It's gone.
No,
what?
The split there was like, please no. No more deaths. Keep survives. Superstars defend their keep. They were not able to get an Immortal, but Faye has built into a poke build that might help with that next time because we have Fierce, we have Thunder God's Vigor too, so some cooldown reduction there. We'll have to see when the next one spawns.
Looks like Superstars is going to spend their time invading the Shaman camp, going to deny that from Naventic. Naventic responding with the Cosra Pamp of their own on bottom. It's obviously a bigger win for Superstars, getting the strongest Merc camp in the entire game. Removed from Naventic. They're going to have their own to pick up the time with the Immortals if they would like. It's going to be about the next team fight, though. Superstars has not... They win in fights, but they always lose on the Immortal. It's weird. It's been weird. It's been a scrappy game, but Superstars pulls ahead. But they always lose onto that Immortal. This next one, they're at the point where it's losing games, right, with these Immortals. They might not be able to allow that.
Yeah, not only are the Immortals getting stronger, but they're down to their keeps. And the top one has taken some damage. It's still fairly healthy. Superstars would love to be able to start winning the team fights earlier on in the phase so that they could just get the Immortal, especially because they are winning the fights and the respawn timers are only getting longer. So should they continue that trend, they should have long enough to be able to pick up the Immortal after the fact.
They should. But we'll find out. We got 3 seconds left. The Shaman camp pressuring top for Superstars as expected. Well timed. Genji up there for now. questioning if he wants to rid of that camp.
There are a lot of Naventic members on top of Goku. He has the force of will. He's trying to go after Lucio, who's been stunned so much. Valkyrie makes sure that he doesn't get away. And just like that, Naventic has lost their support.
He has lost their support, and now down a man. Faye actually going to get stunned out there. Zuna cannot get a pick. Leyline Seal from downtown doesn't land. Cassia falls, but so does the Lunara there. A beautiful pick is going to cost Uther his life. And now suddenly we find ourselves at an even matchup. Supportless for both sides, down 2 members.
The slowing sands was ridiculous there, that it was able to cause those 2 deaths. And yes, a support for a support, but Naventic's is back up far faster than Superstars is.
Oh, but Kenma might be caught out there. The dash is actually going to get interrupted by his traps. Kenma gets stunned up once, twice. Portal from Hosi. Swap going the opposite direction. Kenma goes down.
Good night, sweet Chromie. Even with the Andor Hall anomaly, unable to get away.
And with the Shaman camp pressuring up on top, it's actually gotten about half the keep down as well for Superstars during this fight. But I mean, Gilly, we gotta ask ourselves, what was Ken doing there? I mean, the Immortal wasn't almost dead. There was no amount of poke. It was definitely 4 people there. His brother had backed out. Zuna was on the Immortal itself. It's just a bit of miscommunication on the side of Naventic, very apparent there. And it's given Superstars what could be the upper hand and maybe the game.
15 seconds until Kenma's back to the team. Valkyrie not going to do too much in this fight, but importantly, Cocoon is there. And it's going to be a bit until Tomster's busted out. Pure survives, still strong, has not used Avatar. So once Chromie gets back, this could be a re-engage possibility for Team Naventic, especially because Superstars is getting closer and closer to 20. But Superstars wants to team fight. They have the team fighting composition, so they have not been soaking the lanes in favor of fighting. There's the Leyline Seal.
There goes the swap attempt. It's not going to matter. Sound Barrier ends up dropping. Divine Storm used. Can Tomster survive this? He will be able to kite out. Iacona taking so much damage from Kenma thanks to that slowing sands. Portal out is going to be 3 members of Superstars. Nobody dead yet here. Nice stun coming out. Another portal down. Sray gets in. Superstars survives.
They survive, but standing between them and getting the rest of Naventic's Immortal is all of Naventic. And this is already swapped. So if they want to get through that, they have to get into this fight. They have not been soaking. They can't really because the lanes are pushed towards Naventic's side of the map.
Swap. Going to be dodged there by Zuna. So things are fine over the next couple of seconds. Uther has found his way back here. Start the fight. There goes a Cocoon. They initiate the Valkyrie, the 2-man swap into the Immortal stun. They don't even need the Valkyrie. Lunara is gone. The blind coming out from Artanis, not enough to pick off Zuna, but the members of Superstars move forward, and they are going to damage this Immortal.
Swap again. It hits 2. Big impact. Zuna's got the mobility to get out, but poor Biggie, does not. Thanks to Lightning Fury from Faye. Finally, Superstars look to get their first Immortal of the game and more damage as Sray follows up a swap to get another Chromie kill. Only Genji and Muradin remain.
And with this is going to be a relatively well-shielded Immortal for Superstars. Their very first Immortal of this game. Pushing through bottom, top keep still stands, but with the amount of pressure they should be able to build up there, it is likely that the keep will fall kind of in this downtime. It's a double keep play for Superstars. As long as they force hard enough and fast enough here, they're enabling, again, talking about the minions. Even an Immortal wants minions behind it. So much damage coming out from those. They'll set it up. And what can Superstars get? A double keep, unless they get picks. It is all it's going to be. My biggest fear is Superstars goes core here. Unless they get 1 to 2 kills, it's just not a thing.
Protection on the Immortal. There is an aggressive portal play. Can they get those picks they've been hoping for? Someone is inside this Cocoon, but it's Cure.
Cure goes in. They're going to try and force this fight. They have 20. Portal laid. A lot of members are going to be gone. Saray, only one left. Everybody in. They're out. Now this bottom keep is going to fall. Shielding getting ripped through, and they're not going to get top keep. Superstars got 1 keep, but this is not going to be the second. Sadly, they still have that structure up, but it's their game to lose still. Again, they are winning so much in the structure department.
Top keep, though, is where the Shaman camp of Superstars will push. So as long as they escort some minions out and look at the Khazra camp to try to force positioning of Naventic, try to buy time. And Naventic realize this, so they're trying to go immediately to that camp, not allow Superstars to get that kind of pressure. But Goku has been soloing the Shaman camp this entire time, and Naventic, I don't think they've picked up on that.
So why this keep is more important than normal? A lot of the times when you see a keep that low, I would just be like, let it stand. You know, it's not going to, neither is that going to kill it, but it's not going to change the game. The reason why this keep actually matters a lot is because there are no globals on the side of Naventic at all. Not a single one exists. They honestly, Zuna on the Genji, not the best wave clear. Chromie, pretty poor in wave clear. Lunara is the only one who can back, but she's all of their race. So if they get a double keep, Lunara is 100% the backing target. And when that happens, suddenly Superstars gain so much of an advantage when it comes to the Immortal race itself. They don't even need to force it. Swap lands on the Cure.
And puts Goku on top of the point. Divine Hurricane nearly claims the life of Cure, but not quite. Tomster drops. That's the first kill that Superstars needs to take this game from here, from this fight. Hammer of Justice, Genji trying to get out, maybe trying to take down Fade 2. He had this Dragon Blade and using the lunge, using the mobility to get back to base. Only one kill was achieved by Superstars.
But the Immortals are coming up here in 5 seconds, and we have 40 seconds before we are going to see a full 5 members of Naventic alive on Battlefield of Eternity. This gives a minimum of the first halftime phase over to Superstars essentially for free. And what it's going to be is more of, can Naventic stall out long enough that Lunara is able to join, and more importantly, that they win a fight while down 50% of this Immortals HP. It's looking grim.
Naventic down to risky plays, to all-ins on their battleground choice in game number 1 versus Superstars.
They did get defensive positioning on the Immortal, so that is a positive. It also helps because, again, the double pressure they have from catapults. Swap attempt goes, doesn't land anywhere. Lunara back trying to rid of the catapults, pressure out the lanes. Whenever she does that and is effective getting those lanes pushed out enough and Naventic feels comfortable is when they should group up as a 5-man and look to get a team fight. Superstars saw the Lunara, moved up, see her again, realized they want to back out.
Story's been slowed down, but still has his burrow charge to go out. They can always reset at their Immortal if needed, especially because the type of stuns and swaps that Superstars have available scares Naventic away from trying to even approach those Immortal stuns.
And this is exactly what I was talking about. Just nobody to go back and defend the core. Zuna is going to be the one who ends up doing it. But again, is that the best person? He is mobile, not necessarily your quickest clear. Goku ate a full rotation from Kenma. Sitting a bit lower than comfortable this late in the game. 27 minutes is where we stand on Battlefield of Eternity. The pressure on the core still being a thing. Zuna's spent hours, it feels like, back there ridding the minions, but he did get the catapults. So this is bought about a 45-second window to a minute where Naventic, again, can take a fight.
Zuna's coming back. Cure's sharking around, seeing if he can get some of the Stormbolt. It is Srey. Again, he has a lot of mobility and escape with Burrow Charge, so that'll be used and forced Naventic. Do they feel confident enough to try to take a fight underneath Superstars Immortal? It looks like no, they do not want to be swapped into a stun.
Genji backing out, ridding the minion waves once more.
He's gotta be like, guys, this is not working, fam.
I mean, that's what it feels like, but again, it's what they knew they were going to be here, right? I mean, the filthy commentator said that this was the circumstances they were going to experience. They sent somebody different than I expected, but it's not a rare place they found themselves. So with the catapults cleared out, Naventic has another small timing window. Cure goes in, swap attempts not used. Goku takes the portal out. They're going to go in.
Suppression pull, swap hit. Kenma's in trouble already. Sound barrier helps, but it is ley line sealed too. gonna bust out, still have the shielding, but Lunara wasn't in there, was not able to stay alive. So 1 kill for Superstars so far.
Again, you see Zuna trying to dive onto Hosty, but 1 portal out, and he is fine. A member dead. Catapults building again onto the core of Naventic. Superstars has a moment to move out, get damage onto the Immortal itself. And that is what they're gonna do. Double trap. They go through portals together, they hit traps together. Superstars is a unified team here today, at least so far in this BOE game. They move up.
Starting to see the panic from Naventic. Kenma and Zuna are going to rotate down to the side. Hosty is the target, and they get him!
They got the pick. Zuna got a reset as well. Faye taking a bit of damage. There goes the blind onto everyone. Stormbolt is going to land onto Faye. Cassia trying to kite it out. Zuna with 1 more dash. They need the damage. No reset for him, as that was past the 2-second threshold.
There was a lot less sustainability once Hosty went down, all relying on Iacona. Goku's there. Cocoon's been used. Goku gets the tip of the healing of Holy Radiance.
Okay, so this is a small window. All right. I thought for a moment we actually saw Naventic panic and look like they were going to move forward through the top, but they end up backing out. They're going to defend. The game is actually still lost for Naventic because of this on bottom. So Uther has Divine Hurricane. He's got it up still. Saray's going to get rid of the shielding as much as he can while everybody else is trying to take the damage up on top. This should be a free solo. The best part is that Uther's not even tanking. And when they move in, Hurricane, GG. So now Iacona move up. Hit him with that R, and you should be able to win.
Even stopping sound barrier.
Even stopping sound barrier.
Superstars takes out Team Naventic in a 30-minute Battlefield of Eternity game, thanks to some awesome swaps and some even awesomer synergy.
Yeah, you know, I honestly did not think post-10 that game would be as close as it was. I talked a lot in the draft about, you know, putting the focus onto the 1 through 9 for Naventic's draft, but post-10, knowing the Divine Storm is a rebuttal, and I mean, there was an Artanis on that team, and I was promoting their late game fighting. Like, that is a pretty rare thing, but it did show that maybe Superstars' composition not as well-rounded as they would have expected for how close that game was. I mean, don't get me wrong, Naventic played very, very well, especially having Cure on that Warrior being a substitute for this team, but something just felt missing.
I think it only felt close, though, because Superstars lost all of the Immortals early game.
Yeah.
So they were winning the fights and consistently winning fights, but they never were really able to get Immortals because of either fast respawn timers or they won the fights post the Immortal. So they got behind in structures, which kept Naventic somewhat in the game, but it never, to me, felt like Naventic ever was dominating team fights.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the reason why it never felt Naventic was dominating those team fights was thanks to Goku. You know, on the Artanis, his swaps that he had the entire game was just absolutely ridiculous, swap after swap. We have a montage of those here for you guys to enjoy. Get some popcorn because this one is 10 out of 10. Would watch again.
Here we go.
You know, we normally provide commentary for this type of stuff, but I feel like it's just appreciate the swap kills, you know? Take it in.
I'm down. Where's my popcorn?
Yeah, we messed up there. Dirty. So that's 2. How many we got? This is my favorite.
This one's sort of, hello! Immediately Iacona's there.
I mean, I don't know how this early game looks for Superstars if they didn't have Goku doing this. Seriously, that's 4 kills single-handedly, level 1 through 9 for Superstars. And I talked about the 1 through 9 for Naventic. Goku's by himself. Change that.
That one was insanity too. Just like, Tomster was so far away, and then even starts to bound away again, and then Valkyrie, it's like, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, we will find you, and we will kill you.
The double swap later on. Gosh, man, Goku is got a problem, and it's Artanis swaps, you know? It's just ridiculous. By the way, that is going to be up for us. We're coming back to you guys with game number 2 in any minute. Thanks for sticking with us. This